Okay, you are watching Stewie's Wrestling Podcast with your main man, Mr. Stevie Ray. And if I come through the show, everybody needs to come through the show. Now, can you dig it?
You're listening to Stu's Wrestling Podcast. It's time for British Wrestling's sharpshooter, your host, Stu Palmer.
The 80th episode of Stu's Wrestling Podcast. I can't quite believe it. 80 episodes in, and have I got a treat for you? We had a break last week with it being WrestleMania week. I was doing some other projects with Powered 4, who I'm in association with. They did a load of WrestleMania specials, but we are back for episode 80 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast, and it's none other than ECW original Chilly Willy. Chilly trained in North Carolina many years ago. He was part of Omega with the Hardy Boys once upon a time. He then went on to become ring crew at ECW, which then led to Paul Heyman seeing that this guy could be a wrestler on the ECW card. He became an ECW original in the process. We hear about Chilly's time in OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, which at the time was a WWE developmental territory. We do come away from wrestling too. Chilly served in the military in Iraq, and I really wanted to ask about his time and his experience doing that. And we thank all our servicemen and women in the UK and in the US of A that went over to fight the war. We also talk about Chilly's podcast with Andrew Campbell, Pro Wrestling Unraveled, ANC podcast. All this and more today with ECW Original for episode 80 of Stu's Wrestling Podcast. Enjoy. My guest today, all the way from the Philippines. He did live in North Carolina. He's from North Carolina originally. We have got an ECW original. It is Mr. Chilly Willy, the host of the Pro Wrestling ANC podcast Unraveled. And what an absolute honour and privilege to get you on, man. I've been doing some background stuff on you outside of wrestling. You've had quite the life, man. Even outside of wrestling.
Thank you.
You've done some stuff. You've done some stuff, man, and it was cool just doing a little bit more research outside of wrestling. Absolutely. How are you, mate?
Nice. Good. I'm good. Thanks for having me on, Stu, brother. It's really an honor to be here, man. And yeah, man, I'm here in the Philippines. So if the audience, if you guys hear some motorcycles going by and some dogs barking, it's just me at home in the Philippines, brother. That's how we roll here.
It's all natural. It's all natural, man. That's
exactly.
That's I think to start off, it's not going to be like chronological. When you did this, when you did that. Can ask you first about your ECW run, because I remember even in the UK we were getting ECW on Bravo over here, so we were getting the TNN show. How was your run in ECW? I know you faced everybody, you faced all the top guys. I know ECW was winding down at that time, but how was it for you? How was it for you? Because there was still some great talent in that roster with yourself and Paul Heyman.
Oh man. Yes, it was. I got there in 2000, late 2000. I started wrestling in 1997. So I got there in 2000, invited up by C.W. Anderson, who taught me, and Steve Carino, and got on the ring crew. I started, that's how I got my spot in ECW, by working on the ring crew and wrestling. So the talent there was great, man. You had guys like RVD still there, Jerry Lynn, Super Crazy Tajiri, Jazz, Francine. Oh, man, you had some of everybody. The Baldies, Balls Mahoney, New Jack, Sandman. You had some of everybody there, man. Still, I didn't know anything about ECW, but I learned quickly. I learned really, really quickly. And because where I lived at North Carolina, we only had WCW and WWE at the time. So I didn't know anything about ECW. And so it was fairly new. And the Dudleys, they had just left. They were just leaving. Taz just left. Mike Awesome, I think he was already, doing the thing with WCW and all that stuff. So but they came in for cameo appearances. So it was great, man. It was great to be there and learn from everybody that was there. Kid Cash and beautiful Billy Wiles, Johnny Sweeter, man, Simon Diamond, you name it. Those people were there, and so I learned a lot from those guys. The FBI, Tony Mama Luke, and Guido, Big Sal, and so it was great. I was green as a greenhorn, man, and everyone just took care of each other, man. There was no this, no that. We would have a lot of ribs. A lot of guys would rib each other and stuff like that in the locker room. But for the most part, when we went out there and did our jobs, man, it was great.
I want to ask, obviously, we know about the famed ECW audience, and you were talking of a couple of thousand fans in with ECW, weren't you, for a show, doing the Hammerstein Ballroom, places like that, an iconic venue in wrestling, absolutely. How was it for you? How was the crowd for you, as from a worker's standpoint, from a wrestler standpoint? I always look at it from a fan standpoint, obviously. How was it performing in front of them? Because they were rabid, the ECW fan base.
Oh yeah. Well, once I got in there, ECW crowd was hard, man. I never experienced anything like it. Of course, that was my biggest claim to fame. Also, I've never been in WWE or WCW, but from what I saw on television versus what I witnessed in ECW, it was like a cult, man. It was like a bunch of guys from about, I would say, 18 to 35, that range, man, and it was like they were hardcore fans, and they will let you know if you messed up something, if you did something good or whatever. They give you the hand clap. Where when you would see WCW or WWE, it was just like they cheered you because of your name or your fame, or whatever. But if you missed a spot in WCW or WWE. You didn't get a chance. People. It was just, I don't know if they edited it or what, but if you missed a spot in ECW, them motherfuckers let you know, hey, you fucked up. So that made every guy, even from the top, from RVD all the way down to me, which was guy on the ring crew. Made us work harder, even guys like the referee, Mike Keener and H.C. Loken, if you messed up, they will let you know, and that was the thing. You didn't want to go out there and mess up because you can't edit that. You can't edit, you fucked up, and if you're a new guy coming in and you really messed up, they're going to be like, who the F are you? Who the fuck are you? Who the fuck are you? So it's like, you was just, it was like like I said, it was like a cult. It was like, it was like nothing I had never experienced before in my life. And now when you see or hear chants, you gotta get it. You gotta give ECW the props because I think it came from them. I think it came from their fan standpoint.
We all modelled ourselves on the chants, even over here.
Oh, yeah.
We're raucous. We're raucous as a fan base over here. I tell you what, and I've been to some WrestleManias over here. So I've done 7 WrestleManias, and when the UK turn up, Chilly, I tell you now, the Americans didn't like it. Didn't like it. There's about 5, 10, 15,000 UK people going over, but we definitely took from the ECW crowd. Absolutely, I think. Sorry. I'm sorry to cut it, but it's like your football league when you guys do soccer. Yeah. Like when you guys have a chant, you guys have chants, you have something like that, And in our football, we don't have that, we have something else. But when you talk about wrestling, a smaller crowd, 10,000 or less, and it's packed in. And you and someone else is in the ring, just you two guys at one time, you got to make sure your stuff is on point because, man, they will let you have it, and it's just, luckily I didn't get no chant. So I was pretty lucky. Even my first day, even my first night, I didn't get a chant. It was just, I
I think a little bit, like when I first walked to the ring and got in, they were like, "Who the F are you?" I wrestled Julio De Niro, but it wasn't too bad, you know what I mean? So it was all good.
Did you have nerves going out for the matches?
Oh, yeah.
I thought you might have said no. I think you would have embraced the nerves as a talent.
Man, Stu, I'm telling you, man, every time I went out, it was like we would call a match in the back, and you call a match, and I would be nervous right when the ECW intro music hit, because you're going on, especially if we're going on television, the music hit, and then you're the first guy up or whatever, even if it's a dark match or whatever call, but as soon as your opponents go out, as soon as he go out, then you're next. You're like a minute coming. And me sitting and standing and waiting there in that gorilla position, man, in that area, and you hear your music and it's like, okay, well, I gotta go now. So whatever's going on, you just leave it behind. But when you call a match, it's like I would call a match. They would call a match and we talk about it. And by the time I get out there, man, I forgot everything. I'm so nervous. I forget everything that's going on. But the only thing I don't forget is when I'm going out and I'm dancing and I'm trying to get the crowd hyped, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up here. And I actually lost my mind. My mind is like, fuck, I'm like, I lost everything. I'm like, when I get on the ring apron, I wipe my feet off. I get inside the ring. I'm like, what do I do now? It's like, oh my god, So yeah, I every single match, man, I got goosebumps. Every single match. There wasn't a match. Even now, after I wrestled the ECW, man, back on the indies, man, I was still getting nervous. I would have more confidence now, but man, when I was the ECW boy, I was like, whew, because like I said, you don't want to mess up. You did not want to mess up. You know what I mean? So,
who was some of the guys, Chilly? I know you could make a very long list, but obviously covering everyone it'd take a long time. But some of the guys that you learned from in ECW. And just some of the guys that really helped you as well.
That's just probably the whole roster. I would have to even the females, Jazz, like I said, included. She was a good wrestler, and she's still doing her thing down there. Her husband, Rodney Mack, guys that I wrestled. My first, like I said, my first match was Julio. He carried my hand. Guido, who was in Kansas City, I remember, man, he would carry me. The Baldies. And the thing is, before we would have a show, we would set up the ring crew. This was our thing. We set the ring up, and because we get to the building first, of course, set up the ring, and we would go and roll around inside the ring. And so that's where you learn a lot. You only had maybe an hour before the show or something like that, and you get in there, you just work. And when you get in there and work, all the stars would come through. The Rob Van Dams, the Steve Carinos, and they would come through and they would talk about their match, but they're sitting by the ringside. And if you messed up something or you trying to do something, they say, hey, what was that? What was that? Do that again. Make this better. Make this better. Do this better. You know what I mean? Even Sandman, do this better. Hey, Chilly, do this better. New Jack, hey, Chilly, do this better. Do this. And so I would get instructions from those guys and get help. And like I said, everyone helped. Everyone pitched in. There was no one, Lance Storm. There was no one there that was like a dick or ass that said, hey, no. Everyone pitched in. Raven, these guys are smart. They've been in the business long time, and so they know what the audience is looking for. And so while we were practicing, they said, no, you need to do it this way. And that's how I learned a lot.
That's incredible. What a list of guys there. And as you say, no ego. We hear about egos in the business, people backstage, but that is the good thing. That's the nice thing to hear about ECW.
Oh yeah,
because those guys were known on a world level. I know ECW, some areas you weren't getting it in the States. We weren't getting it till later on. I'd obviously seen the ECW talent come through on Raw in '97 when Vince had the deal with them. But that's really nice to hear that everyone was helping one another. That's a good.
Oh yeah,
it's lovely to hear that, Chilly.
Exactly, because we there wasn't a lot of schools back 2000, and so we, like I said, we didn't have time. And they definitely would help out the younger talent, which was me, guys like me, Marquez, and AC Loke, and and things like that. And they would just come in. They fly in. Once they fly in before the show, and they just hang around the inside the arena, around the ring, and they look and they just say, hey, do that this way. That's cool. Let me see you guys do that. And if you did something wrong, they'd be, nah, man, don't do that, So, but they, it was never a thing where you felt, it was like all those guys was like my bigger brother and sister, you know what I mean? And so that's how we treated each other.
I'd be remiss not to talk about the genius that is Paul Heyman. How was Paul? How was it working for Paul? I hear split opinion on the guy to this day from people. I love him. I love him to death. Same with Jim Cornette. I love Jim Cornette. I know his opinion. But yeah, your dealings with Paul, how Paul would ramp you guys up to like literally run through a brick wall. I heard about it.
Right.
You could be angry with that man, but he could ramp you up and you'd do anything for him. This is what I've been told from other guys.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. That's Paul Heyman. Every guy, every woman that worked for Paul in ECW, they may talk about him now in their different ways, but at that time, would die for Paul Heyman. Would literally stand there and take a bullet for Paul Heyman. That's how much we love Paul Heyman at that time. And if someone said, no, I would never die for Paul Heyman, they're lying now because of whatever. But back then, when we were running and everything going well, man, people would die for Paul Heyman, man. You work for ECW, and I love working for Paul Heyman. I didn't have any issue with Paul Heyman because I'm low on the low totem pole. I'm a Marine Crew guy, and he was pushing me. He was pushing Chilly Willy a little bit because I had a couple of matches with Rhino. And Rhino at the time was TV champion. He put me with guys like New Jack and Sandman and Balls, and here I am, a Marine Crew guy, and he didn't have to put me with those guys. People always say, did you tag with those guys? No, I only tag with Balls, but with New Jack and Sandman, it was more like they would come in and just save the day for me or whatever. If I had an issue or whatever in wrestling, in the storytelling. And so it wasn't like we tagged in and out, hot tag, and none of that, But Paul Heyman, man, he got me a job when I came out of the military, straight into WWE. He was the one who, I know he was the one who put that idea into Vince's head or whatever. So for me, man, Paul Heyman will always be a good guy in my opinion. You know what I mean? So we had issues. People had issues because of the pay. A lot of guys weren't getting paid, but like I said, I was on a different pay scale, so I was good with him,
But it's mad to think he owed money to the talent, but the talent still showed up for the shows.
That's what I said. Yeah, that's what I mean.
Anyway, it was like, it's crazy, isn't it? You don't get paid to do, you're not getting paid to do something, but the master of the mind that he is, just like, and
exactly.
They never like didn't know show, did they? The guys,
right? No, they and Tommy was like, also that bridge between the guys and Paul Heyman. Tommy really was the key factor also, because I was only getting paid $140 a night, 75 for putting up the ring and 75 to travel there to wrestle. Other people were getting, they're on contract, of course. And so Tommy, like I said, Tommy was the bridge. When Paul would tell you this and tell you that, and he wasn't there, he was up in WWE, Tommy would take all the heat. And so the guys came in, I would say more so because of Tommy, but also because of what Paul put together as ECW. But Tommy, like I said, if I'm not mistaken, Tommy was the one who made all that happen pretty much. So you got to give Tommy a lot of credit, a lot.
Absolutely, and look at the length of his career. You know what I mean? And what he's done. He's worked everywhere. I don't think he's another guy I'd say doesn't get enough credit for what he's done for the business. You'll know better than me.
Right.
You've been in amongst it, but fan perspective of Tommy, and just it's the length of service, Chilly.
Yes,
it's incredible. It's incredible. You can't dispute it.
No, cannot. Tommy, like I said, Tommy was the one, man. He was somehow. Guys, we were getting paid, man, through merchandise. Merchandise sell. He was scraping, trying to piece this thing together, and so it worked up until the last day, and now it is what it is. But at that time, like you said, man, we were having big disputes, but people were still coming back. People still coming to the shows. People still coming in. The morale was low, and people were really griping. A lot of superstars were like, oh. But you didn't know it as a fan. You would know that something was going on because we put that shit behind us and we go out and do a show. But man, before the show and after the show, you hear all the griping. We ain't getting paid here. It's like your family. If you got brothers and sisters, and you got a fan, mom and dad in your house, things will go well or whatever, and that's how it is. It's still a family.
Who was an underrated talent? I know everyone was, on the platform. In Chilly's mind, in ECW, who do you think could have been bigger than they were? If you can think of somebody.
Oh man. Well, in terms of like ECW or after ECW?
Yeah. I think you said in terms of ECW, yeah.
In terms of ECW, who was a major star there? Who could have been a major? Of course, I'm gonna say C.W. Anderson. He had his run. They could have gave him more. I think a little bit. Guys like him, Simon Diamond. It's kind of hard to say because everyone had their own story, or kind of like had their own storyline and in television, ECW, wrestling, you only have a certain amount of television time. There's a whole bunch of them really, but from what I saw, a lot of guys, they had their run. But who could have probably made more out of it? Yeah, I would. Yeah, that's kind of hard to say. I would just probably say someone like CW, Simon Diamond. Then you had guys like Kid Cash, people like that. It's just. But then, like I said, they had their own time. Chetty, Chris Chetty and Danny Dory, they were already big favorites, man. And Nova, them guys were already over like that. So it's kind of hard to say,
It's quite a broad question actually.
Because everyone was a superstar in their own right.
Yeah. I'm not taking away from them. They were known on a national, international level. Yeah, I just think just someone like, that was underutilized. Maybe.
Who do you think? As a fan, who would you think?
In ECW at the time, I know Guido is well known, but I think because of the size of the guy, because he's smaller in stature, but his charisma. 100% Guido could have been even bigger. I know he got to WWE. He did fantastic. He went on to referee for WWE as well. Great career. I think he could have been higher up. For a small guy, for a smaller guy, not to do him a disservice, I loved him. I thought he was fantastic.
Yeah.
Along with other guys too.
Yeah. Guido, Tony Mamaluke.
Yeah.
He was also in WCW and everything. Christian York, Joey Matthew, when they came in, but they came in really, really at the end. And they did pretty good. They were getting their push. But the size. That's the thing also with pro wrestling. Even now, it seems like it's the era of the lightweight when you look at wrestling now versus 20 years ago. When you look at wrestling 30 years ago, 40 years ago, it was the big guy, but now you look at wrestling, it seems like it's the era of the lightweight guys. And so even though you got guys like Roman Reigns and, who's champion now, Bobby Lashley, those guys, Drew McIntyre, still, those are few guys. Those are the few muscle-bound guys, big guys, 6 feet, 6'2". Most of your cards are filled up with guys who are 5'9", 180 pounds maybe, or 100 and not even 80, 160 pounds sometimes. Really small, 200 pounds. You look at guys like Dolph Ziggler. Very good. He could have been the Ric Flair of this generation, as Aldridge said, and so you look back at ECW, man, like you said, Guido could have been, there. But when you had guys like Rob Van Dam and Jerry Lynn, even though they're Rob, I think is about 6 feet. Jerry Lynn's probably about 5'11", 5'10", not quite at 6 feet, but he's muscular. So I think size does play a part big time in pro wrestling. And, to put a strap on a smaller guy, it's kind of hard for them to really, the fans to get behind them unless you're Rey Mysterio, to carry the heavyweight championship, or even a television championship. It's just, in my opinion, I don't know, so maybe that's why they didn't get that push that they should have gotten.
How was your time in WWE? You spoke about that a little bit before.
I was in OVW at the developmental. I think I did maybe 6 months there, a couple of months, and then I watched out. It was okay. It wasn't the right time for me. I just came out of the Iraq War. Literally, like, I came from the battlefield back to America for like a month, got signed with WWE while I was still in the Army. The Army let me out 1 month prior to me getting out. So my mind is still already, it's still in combat mode. And so, because it takes you a while to really, to get over the war and everything, And so I went straight from the Army base to Kentucky and started training in WWE, in wrestling. And Stu, I'm telling you, man, my mind was just so wrapped up in the military. One morning I'm doing PT, and then the next morning I'm up. I don't have anyone telling me what to do. That's very strange, and it's like, I'm 2 or 3 months out from being in a gunfight and fighting every night from that going into trying to be an entertainer again. So my mind was like, oh, I can't do this, you know. But I was down there. I was blessed to be down there at the time when Bobby Lashley was there, Ken Anderson, Chad Gaspard, God bless his soul.
Yeah, man. R.I.P. to him.
Yeah. Beast, John Morrison, the Boogeyman, Marty Wright, Aaron Sandow, Beth Phoenix.
Brilliant. Her Icons episode on the network, man. I don't know if you've seen it yet.
Yeah, no, I haven't. But I was in that class. I was in that class with those guys. You know, Julian Hall, and you know, there's so much talent here. Elijah Burke, and so I'm trying to get my mind back into it, and I just couldn't do it. And so after a couple of months, man, Johnny Laurinaitis was like, Chilly, because they wanted me to do this gimmick like the GI Bro with you know, when Booker T. You know, when Booker T had the GI Bro gimmick, they kind of wanted me to do something like that, and I couldn't do it, man. I couldn't feel it, and I was like, I don't like this shit, you know. And the word got back to Vince, and so they were like, well, we can see you down in Puerto Rico, and you can still work. They still wanted me to be on, but I was like, I want to just go home. I just want to clear my head, you know, detox from the war. And that's what happened. And so it was, but it was good. It was nice. It was okay. Nothing like, it was totally different because you had to go train every day versus being on the indies where you may go to a show 3 or 4 times out of a week. And so, you know, going training every day, and then also Jim Cornette would critique our matches during the week. And I like Jim Cornette also, man. I thought he was he's very intelligent. Some people don't like him, but he knows his shit. You know what I mean? He knows his shit. So you got to respect that.
He's a walking encyclopedia, that man. You know, when you watch him in his little treasure trove in his house with all his old school wrestling stuff, and it's just crazy. Yeah. It's just crazy how much information he can put out on his podcast. And I'm just like, how does he remember? And he can go back 30, 40 years and talk about it like it was yesterday. But a bit more on Jim Cornette and your experiences with Jim, and just the way he was with you and supporting you as a wrestler.
I didn't really interact with him. Because, like I said, I just came into OVW. He was really more so interacting and interviewing and talking more with the guys and girls that were already there, that they were ready to push. And so we would do a wrestling show every week in Louisville, and then that following day we go back to class. You know, he would critique that class, and it was just, you know, he would just tell you pretty much what you did, what you didn't do. And when they were trying to push me, I just had one interview with him when they were trying to push me and get my shit over. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, that was my only time I had interacted with Jim Cornette. And then I saw him again, probably 2010 on the indie show. He was managing someone, and we talked, but not a big conversation. If you said to him right now, who's Chilly Willy, he'd probably be like, oh, I really don't know who Chilly Willy is, but you know, I think he's a good guy or whatever, you know. So yeah.
Did you go on the independents after OVW? What were you doing in wrestling after OVW?
After OVW, I went back home, and then I became a correction officer.
Wow.
And then I didn't do any independent until that was 2005, 2006, 7. Around 2008, 2009, I dipped back into independent wrestling, and I tagged with a friend of mine. His name is Kenny Me, and his name on the independent circuit was called Bounty, and we did a gimmick called the American Gangsters, you know, from the movie American Gangsters. Mm-hmm. And so And so I took the name as Nicky, as in Nicky Barnes, one of the top drug dealers back then. And he took the name he took the other name as Frank Lucas. And so we were called Frank and Nicky, the American Gangsters. And that was one gimmick we had, and then we had another gimmick, me and him, the same gimmick, because he was already doing a cowboy gimmick. And he was doing the like a black redneck. And so I just said we should just call ourselves the Black Necks. And we would come out with the Confederate flag, but it's in black, green, and red, the African American flag color. And that was fun. We would come to the ring with whiskey in our hand. And I remember we wrestled the Powers of Pain, the Warlord and Barbarian down in South Carolina.
Wow.
And one of my idol teams, man, growing
days.
up.
They're still massive now. They're like in this. They're in their 60s. I look at Terry.
Barbarian.
I look at Terry. I look at Bob, and I'm like, when they do these shows and that now, and it's like, and you hear about Terry being a security guard for some of the big stars. I think it's 50 Cent, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And it's just like, they're still jacked now, Chilly. It's like,
yeah, they were big. And I was like, when they told us we were going up against them, I was so excited because, like I said, I watched them when they did the thing with the Road Warriors and did the bench press, and everything. Yeah. I'm just a huge fan. But I had been on a couple of shows with Barbarian. Never been on a show with the Warlord. I only met him once when ECW went to Florida. Man, like you said, Stu, man. The guys came out, man. They were in the ring. They were waiting for us. And it was at a big bar. And we walked in, and we have a big bottle of Jack Daniels. And it's real. It's real liquor.
It's not gimmicked.
And so, and so they thought, Barbarian and the Warlord thought it was gimmick. And so we got in and was like, okay, here. You guys try this. And they're like, okay, And they went to go chug it, man, and Barbarian was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is real. So we had a good time. We had a good time with that match and everything. And but yeah, we did that country black neck gimmick, and we did American Gangster, and that was it. Then after that, I went to Costa Rica and lived for like 4 years, and then I came here.
Wow, you've moved around. You've moved around. You've moved around the globe. Costa Rica, now in the Philippines, out in Iraq, and you know what, Chilly, I'd be remiss. Thank you for your service in the military.
Oh man, no problem. Yes.
UK, as much as you serve for the US, we combined. We've combined the UK and the US in terms of military, haven't we?
Yes.
So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. That takes that takes balls of steel to go and do that and go over there and do that and put your life on the line every day, man. So thank you.
No doubt. I tell everybody, I said, when they tell me thank you for doing that, I said, well, don't thank me, man. It's just, I needed a job, man. ECW was closing. So thank ECW, because ECW was what made me go into the military, when you see the writing on the wall and they say, hey, ECW is going to close, and then 9/11 hit. So I was like, yo, I better do something. I don't want to go back, to work. I better go, I want to serve the country. So that's what I did. Yeah.
Oh, that's not, man. It's cool hearing now as well. Now, a little birdie tells me you like combat sports. Am I right in asking this?
Oh, yes.
And it's our friend Justin Clapper, Mr. Wrestling Travel. I'm good friends with Clapper.
Yes,
he's a very good dude. Yes. So yeah, he said
he is, man.
You need to speak to Chilly. I love combat sports. Obviously, I've got my other show with my cousin that I do.
Okay.
Just let us know about your love of combat sports, man.
Man, I just I was in combat sport before anything, and it's like dealing with wrestling. I just like boxing, kickboxing. I like fighting, period. And so when this podcast stuff started coming out, I was like, man, I want to do something, And I have a friend, Will Getley. He does the Fight God podcast also. And he kind of helped me out with that. And I wanted to do something. So I have a thing called CRIMA, which is which is Combat Ready International Mixed Martial Arts. And I wanted to use that one time for my wrestling genre because I wanted to put wrestling and mixed martial arts together, and so that was my thing. And now, man, I like UFC, but I'm really getting into the bare knuckle fighting championship.
You told me about this. You told me about this last week.
Yes, I'm so man. I'm getting into that. We don't get it here in the Philippines, so I have to go on YouTube.
Yeah,
I have to go on YouTube and check it out. But I really want to start interviewing some of those guys. I want to start getting in touch with whoever, man, and just start interviewing those guys because I've been watching it on YouTube. I did watch some of it the last week or a couple of weeks. I think the 16. It was something called 16. They had a big pay-per-view, and man, I love it, man. I'm really liking that. If you haven't checked out Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, do it. It is the next thing, man. I'm telling you, it is the next big thing. And so, yeah, I like that. I still love UFC, but this bare knuckle thing is coming, man. It's coming.
I'm gonna shoot back there, right? Some of your favourites in UFC, past, present, future, maybe some of the guys that you've loved watching over the years. I know there's so many. It's hard to.
Oh man. I'm a huge John Jones fan. I like Usman. I like Masvidal. I like the Diaz brothers. Anderson Silva, of course. I like guys back. Randy Couture. And so yeah, there's a whole bunch of them guys. Even the fight just happened now. Stipe and Ngannou. That was a good one. Yeah, that was good, man.
He learned off the back of the first fight, did Francis. Oh my days.
Yes.
He was waiting to unload, but he was quite cautious. But Stipe looked a little underweight to me. He looked a bit gaunt. He cut a little bit too much. I know with DC, he cut for DC, but he just looked a bit. And I think it's Ngannou's time, and I think he's going to be champion for a long time. A bit like Stipe.
Yeah, I think if he keeps his composure, Ngannou, he tends to want to go really fast, and if he can weather his storm within the first. Now you got to say first to 2 to 3 rounds because first it was his first round, but now he's got more patience. So you gotta weather that storm for the first 3 rounds. Try to take him in the championship rounds and see what happens. Derek Lewis is my man too. Man. I love some Derek Lewis.
And it's not only the fight; it's the interview after. You're waiting to see what he's going to say. My balls was hot,
sweaty. My balls were sweaty and shit. And so that's what got him. That's what put him on the map. I think. His interviews and stuff. And plus that he can hit, man. When he hit Curtis Blades, I was really concerned when he fought Curtis Blades. I was like, okay, Curtis might take him into the later rounds and he might win this on decision. I did not see, man. It was so quick. He hit him with that uppercut. It's like boom. I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh my god. So, if it was me and I was booking the fights, John Jones, I really don't like. Here's my thing, Stu. I don't like for another champion to come out of a championship class weight and then fight right at the championship level of that that weight class. So I think that's disrespectful. I think that you should have a tune-up fight first.
Is he going straight in for Blachowicz for the title? Is he? And look what happened. I agree.
Exactly.
I'm in full agreement. He should have gone for someone in the top, maybe someone in the top 10, maybe someone around that mark to then gauge.
Right.
But that was just putting the weight on. He's gonna struggle getting putting 205 on. Is he? He's naturally a 185, isn't he? But I agree. Sorry, Matt. I keep jumping.
Yeah.
Keep jumping in.
No, it's okay. It's okay. But that's my thing. I think that if I'm going to go to a weight class, if I'm 185, and I want to jump. If I'm 205, even if I'm 205 and I want to jump to the heavyweight, I need to start off slow and fight a heavyweight and feel what it's like to have that weight on me. Because a person that comes in at 220 on fight night or fight on weigh-in day might not be 220. He might be legit 260. He cut down to 220, 230, and then you come in on fight night, and it's like all this weight is on you, all this power is on you. And so I think it should be mandatory that these guys fight a top 10 fighter, like you said, and then from there, if they beat that top 10 contender, then they have a shot at the championship. But don't throw John Jones into the.
I've heard two pieces of information on that one. Right, that my cousin's obviously bigger into MMA than I am, and what they were saying was, they're touting John Jones to fight Ngannou, but they reckon Derek Lewis is in the Derek Lewis is in the periphery to get a shot as well.
Yes,
I think John Jones will need a tune-up fight. It's ridiculous.
Definitely.
That is a hell of
me.
That's the biggest jump. That's the biggest jump. That's the biggest jump of all. And
it's like not saying he won't, because I think John Jones could handle himself. I think he could take Ngannou all the way to 5 rounds. I really do, because John Jones his fight IQ is superb to anybody. But I think that you should give John Jones, Curtis Blades, another wrestler. Let them two mix it up. Let Derek Lewis have his shot at Ngannou again. That's a rematch. And then the winner of that, Curtis Blades and John Jones, will fight the winner of Ngannou and Curtis Blades. That's just me. That's what I think.
They should make you the matchmaker over there. Take Sean Shelby's job. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then Easy Israel Adesanya, he lost steam on that, whereas even though he's a champion and still but I think UFC was I think they're still looking for a face for the UFC. They don't have a face yet. John Jones is still there. John Jones is a veteran. John Jones is maybe a couple of years on his way out of UFC. You got to start looking at these younger guys, Usman, and guys like that, and then the winner of Chandler, Oliveira, those guys, Oliveira or whatever his name is,
They've all got a wrestling basis now. The top guys, it's mad. It's mad how many
That's true.
Your wrestling is so much more prevalent than it used to be.
Exactly.
In terms of drawing money, no, I don't think anyone will eclipse Conor McGregor.
No, they can't.
I just don't think it ever. I think he's eclipsed them all, Conor. I know he's lost. I know he's lost a few. I know they're talking about Poirier 3. He just wasn't. He wasn't with it in that second fight against Poirier.
Yeah, that was rough, and that's the thing. Poirier, he's I liked him ever since he fought Justin Gaethje, because Justin was beating the shit out of him, and that guy kept his composure. And he's very underrated when it comes to his hands. His hands is superb. He's quick. He's a great boxer. And the thing is, I said, man, if he can get past this first round, he's going to get Conor. I said, because his hands is good, much better than what it was before. But UFC needs another Conor McGregor, man. They need that mouthpiece, because you got 3 champions. They're Africans, which is great. But none of them, except for Izzy, is a big talker. Usman is not a talker. Ngannou is not really a talker. And it's just like pro wrestling. You gotta have that charisma, that Muhammad Ali talk. I'm gonna kick your ass, and then to make people see it. Otherwise, people are gonna be like, okay, who's fighting? You gotta make people who are not combat fighting fans tune in to watch. And that's what made Conor McGregor so well, is because people who didn't really watch UFC was like, who's this guy? You know, these guys talking shit. He's kicking ass, and so you know, people want to see that, and I think that's what Dana White is searching for. He's searching for that next face for the UFC, man. I'm telling you,
Absolutely.
He's searching. He is searching. Yeah.
I think it's a perfect time to segue, Chilly, to your podcast, Pro Wrestling A&C Unraveled. With Andrew Campbell.
Yes.
I've
exactly.
Who have you got coming up? Who's coming up on the show, man?
We have let me see. Let me make sure. Oh, we have a guy from AEW. Man, his name escapes my head right now. We just had Caprice Coleman. We had my mind is going blank because we just had some people. But Victor Andrews we had on. We're trying to get this ECW reunion that's coming up April 18th. We're trying to get at least 20 people all on the podcast.
Wow.
Probably like, you know, like a mass Zoom, you know. And so hopefully we can get as many people we can get on that. Hopefully Rob Van Dam will come on. We know he's doing the going to the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Rob.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we can get guys like him, New Jack, Sandman, those guys to come on, and we got, you know, the rest of us, you know, Fanny. If we can get people like Dawn Marie and stuff like that to come on, that'll be great, you know. And we just plug in. We're trying to get people to come on, man. We had Caprice Coleman come on last weekend, and so we're trying to get some. We're trying to get more females to come on because we having a hard time contacting female wrestlers to come on. So hopefully we get some good talent to come on in. But yeah, I forgot the guy's name. Ali something Ali from, I forget his name. I'm sorry, man, if I forget your name. Andrew knows. Andrew's more the contact guy. He contacts all the people.
Yeah.
And then the people come in because he's young and he's talented. So he's a cancer survivor also. So
wow,
he's a great guy.
Oh,
yeah,
man,
he's a fighter. He's a fighter, man.
Incredible.
He's doing well. Yeah, he's wrestling also. So he's doing well. Yeah.
Last thing to ask you. When I was researching, you were with the Hardys in North Carolina at Omega. How was that? Because that was pre-ECW.
You know, a lot of people, I don't know where that came from on Google, but I only wrestled with them maybe twice
Right.
on their show, in their company. But I did wrestle before they became, you know, really big names back in the 90s with late 90s, probably 99, 98, 97, 98. And I was just on the, you know, show with them, with the Hardys, Lodi, because me and CW had trained Lodi. You got guys like them, Joey Matthews, Christine York, you know, a couple of those guys, Steve Carino. So all those guys are North Carolina, Caprice Coleman natives, and so we would wrestle on different shows and stuff like that, and now they became really big stars. Shannon Moore, Greg Helms, you know, Mike Howell, you know, those guys. The Maverick, you know, there's a lot of guys came out of North Carolina.
Absolutely.
Wrestled at a bar called King's Bar for SCW. The promoter name was Grog, and he was throwing good shows every Thursday night. Man, you got guys like Rick Link, legends that would go out. Manny Fernandez, Casey McKnight, which is Dak Hardwood now. You know, guys, we would just all wrestle together, you know, and now, you know, some of us became stars and some of us are still wrestling and still doing our thing, you know, but not at that bar. But North Carolina has a big history of a lot of talent coming out of it, you know. So yeah,
hotbed of talent, North Carolina. Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
absolutely, man. Chilly, I want you to tell the viewers, the listeners, where they can find you in terms of social media, if you will, if you can.
You can find me on Facebook. William Jones, Chilly Willy ECW. I think my Instagram is. I don't really use Instagram a lot, but it's Chilly Willy Jones 2469, and then same as my Twitter, William Chilly Willy Jones, and I think that's it. Yeah. YouTube. I'm on YouTube, but I just got put in YouTube jail, if that's a thing, because I try. Oh, my other podcast, Criminal Podcast. I tried to upload a video, and it said I did something wrong, and now I can't upload no videos on my YouTube channel. So
was it? It wasn't like some copyrighted material or something, no?
No, it was me doing I was doing an interview with C.W. Anderson, Louis Dangerously, and Bill Wiles, and I tried to upload it, and it says something, and now I can't even upload can't even upload videos.
Oh my!
I said, what? So now I just go out and put up a new channel, and that new channel is called crimj.24@gmail.com. So that's my thing, but it's called crimj. So yeah, that's where you can see me.
Perfect, man. It's the host of Pro Wrestling ANC podcast, Unraveled, ECW original, William Jones, Chilly Willy.
Yes.
Thank you so much for coming on Stu's Wrestling Podcast today, man. I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed talking to you about combat sports as well, just to come away from wrestling a little bit. It's always cool to diversify and come off the topic of wrestling. So Chilly, thank you so much, man. Appreciate you coming on. Incredible.
Thank you, Stu. Really appreciate it, brother.
This episode is brought to you in association with Powered 4 TV. So go and check them out for anything wrestling related, old events, new events when we come out of COVID, podcasts, you name it, it's all there at Powered 4 TV. So find them across social media.